The soft rhythm of the car's music played in the background, calm, soothing, like a gentle whisper lacing through the moment. You sat beside Jungkook, your fingers lightly tangled with his, the air between you filled with quiet peace. The wind gently kissed the edges of the open window, rustling a few strands of your hair, and Jungkook's warm voice broke the silence. "Jungkook, I'll take you somewhere special once we're done with this checkup," he said softly, his thumb rubbing gentle circles into your hand. You turned to glance at him, your expression soft and touched. His eyes stayed on the road, but the smile tugging at the corner of his lips told you he was already imagining it, the perfect date, just for you. "Yin, you promise?" you asked quietly, your voice laced with hope and trust. His smile grew a little as if your excitement made his heart swell. "Jungkook, yes, my love, I promise." You held his hand a little tighter, your lips brushing softly against the back of his hand. You didn't say anything more, you just guided his hand toward your belly, resting it gently over your bump. It was natural now, a silent habit, one that always made his gaze soften and his chest rise a little slower, fuller. Jungkook glanced at your hand resting over his on your tummy. He didn't speak, he didn't need to. The way he looked at you, full of emotion, full of quiet awe, said everything. The hospital sign soon came into view, and Jungkook carefully pulled into a shaded parking spot close to the entrance. As soon as the engine quieted, he unbuckled and stepped out swiftly, hurrying around to your side. He opened the door with urgency, wrapped in tenderness, his hand already reaching out for yours. "Jungkook, careful there," he whispered gently, offering his other arm as extra support. You placed your hand in his, letting him help you out. He curled his arm around your waist, steadying you with one hand while the other closed the car door behind you. You were lying on the soft medical bed, your head resting slightly back against the cushion as the doctor calmly explained everything. Jungkook sat beside you on a low stool, close enough that his knee touched the edge of the bed. His hand stayed wrapped around yours. "Doctor, your baby's growth is on track. The heartbeat is strong. That's very good. But from now on, you must be more careful with your back and try not to walk too much at once. Take short walks, rest often, and eat on time. Also, avoid stress." You turned to glance at Jungkook, but your eyes caught him already listening with full attention. "Jungkook, yes, of course, I'll make sure of that. She won't lift even a spoon if I'm around." The doctor smiled warmly at him before continuing. "Doctor, in the coming weeks, you'll feel more pressure on your lower body. It's normal. But if the pain ever becomes sharp or frequent, call me. And one more thing, start practicing breathing techniques. It helps during labor." "Jungkook, breathing techniques?" His voice was soft but curious, a little tense. "Doctor, yes, it'll help her stay calm and manage the pain during labor." Jungkook nodded slowly, but something in his face had started to shift, a quiet fear beginning to settle beneath his calm expression. He held your hand tighter, almost like he needed to feel your pulse to stay steady. Everything was going smoothly. The room was quiet, clean, safe, a space filled with light and soft sounds of medical machines. Even the corridor outside was calm, a peaceful hush, until a scream echoed from down the hallway. Loud, raw, piercing. It tore through the silence like a knife, sharp enough to stop hearts. Your body stiffened, but Jungkook, he froze completely, his eyes widened in terror, his fingers suddenly locking around your hand tighter, as if you might slip away. Another faint, desperate cry followed, and then loud instructions from nurses, someone shouting for water, another asking for more towels. "Doctor, don't worry," she said, calmly smiling as if she'd heard that scream 1,000 times. "It's a happy day in someone's house." You forced a small smile, nodding at the doctor, but Jungkook, he didn't smile. No, he was still pale, jaw clenched, eyes distant, trapped in that sound. The scream wasn't just a woman in labor to him, it was you. Months from now, it was the unbearable pain you might have to go through. And suddenly, he couldn't breathe. That scream wasn't just painful, it was haunting. It rang in his ears again and again. He imagined you screaming like that, crying in pain, gasping, trembling. He saw your face twisted in agony, and he hated himself for ever creating a reason for you to suffer like that. His throat dried, his stomach churned with guilt, with fear, with something deeper and darker, helplessness. You turned your head and looked at him. The doctor was already wrapping up, gently cleaning the gel off your belly and preparing your report. You noticed the way his face had lost all its color. His forehead was glistening with sweat, his shoulders tight. You leaned forward slowly, pressing your lips to his, a quick tender kiss that stayed for a moment longer. Yin, you okay, baby? Your voice was low and comforting, your eyes filled with quiet concern. Jungkook blinked, his eyes meeting yours like he just returned from somewhere dark. He nodded slowly, not trusting his voice, but you weren't convinced. You reached your hand to wipe his forehead gently. Yin, it's too hot here. Let's go outside. He didn't reply. Instead, he reached for you, carefully, gently, pulling you into a light hug. It wasn't too tight. He tried to act casual, like he wasn't shaking inside, but you could feel the hesitation in his arms, the way he held back. Jungkook, you're okay, right? The question came out quietly, almost broken, and you finally understood. The scream, that's what shook him. That's what was still echoing in his ears. You smiled warmly, brushing his back in slow circles, then leaned in to press a soft kiss against the side of his head. Yin, I'm totally fine. Jungkook, don't be scared. I'm strong, and we'll be okay. He backed away just a little, his eyes full of something tender and vulnerable. He cupped your cheek with his warm palm, letting his thumb trace the soft line under your eye. Jungkook, let's go. He gave a small, shaky smile and nodded. Then, like always, he slipped his arm gently around your lower back, supporting you like he always did, and together, you both walked out of the hospital room, him quieter, more protective than before, and you, holding his heart without even realizing it. It was almost night. The silence in the house was soft and comforting, like a blanket wrapped around the walls. Outside, the wind was cool, brushing gently against the windows, and somewhere in the distance, a dog barked once, and then all was still again. Inside your room, the only sound was the quiet, rhythmic breathing coming from you as you slept peacefully under the covers. Jungkook was lying on your side, half his body propped on one elbow as he gazed at you. His fingers, warm and slightly trembling, moved slowly through your hair, over and over again, brushing the strands back from your forehead, tucking them gently behind your ear, like he was trying to imprint every little detail of your face into his memory. His eyes were soft, but filled with something deeper: fear, love, helplessness. You were sleeping soundly. The faintest smile played on your lips, your hand resting on your swollen belly. Jungkook's gaze lingered there for a moment before rising back to your face. His heart hadn't stopped racing since the moment he heard that scream in the hospital, thudding louder than the silence around him. Every time he closed his eyes, he heard it, that pain, that helplessness, that terrifying reality. It had been 2 hours since you'd fallen asleep, but sleep hadn't come to him. He just lay there, holding you, loving you, protecting you in the only way he could right now, by staying close. But it wasn't enough. His throat was tight. He kept swallowing, trying to push the lump down, but it just sat there, painful and heavy. He turned slightly and leaned down, brushing his lips ever so gently against your cheek. You stirred only a little, still deep in your dreams. He lingered there, closing his eyes, breathing in your scent, pressing his forehead softly against yours. Jungkook, I love you so much. The words cracked. He hadn't even noticed the tears until one slipped down his cheek, tracing a path over his jaw and dripping onto the pillow near your head. He quickly pulled back, scared to let his sadness wake you. Silently, he slipped out of the bed, careful not to disturb you. He pulled the blanket a little higher over your body and stared at you one last time. Then he turned and padded barefoot across the room, quietly sliding open the balcony door. It was past midnight. The moon hung low, dimly glowing, like a lonely eye watching over everything. But on the balcony, it was anything but peaceful. Jungkook stood there, barefoot, his body tense, dressed in nothing but his gray sweatpants and a loose white t-shirt. The soft breeze ruffled his messy hair, but he didn't move. His hand was clenched tightly around the black iron railing, knuckles pale, veins visible under his skin. He had been holding it for so long that his hand had gone numb, but he didn't even notice. His eyes were fixed on nothing. He had tried. God, he had tried so hard to hold it in, for hours, but the weight in his chest, this unbearable, invisible heaviness, was choking him. Each time he closed his eyes, he saw you, his wife, his everything, lying in that hospital bed, eyes squeezed shut in pain, struggling to breathe as you gave birth to their child, his child, and he was supposed to stand there and do nothing but hold your hand. That thought broke him. His breathing grew uneven, his chest began to tremble. The wall he had so carefully built cracked, and then collapsed completely. Suddenly, his legs gave way. He fell to his knees with a loud, dull thud, right beside the railing. His hand covered his mouth, trying to stop the sounds from escaping. But it didn't help. His body shook violently as silent sobs tore through him. Jungkook, how? How will she bear that pain? He whispered, his voice broken beyond recognition. How do I let her go through something like that? What if she gets hurt? What if something happens to her? His words came in pieces, choking him mid-sentence. His tears fell fast, soaking into the fabric of his pants, into the wooden floor, into the night that gave him no comfort. Jungkook, I love her more than anything. I never let anything touch her. Never let anyone hurt her. He pressed his hand harder to his mouth to silence another sob, but it came anyway, ugly, raw, and full of pain. And now I'm supposed to just watch while she goes through the worst pain of her life? His other hand clutched at his chest like his heart was physically tearing apart. His words dissolved into more sobs. His face scrunched as he leaned his forehead against the railing. Inside the room, you stirred in your sleep. Your hand instinctively reached to your side, your fingertips brushing across the bed in search of something or someone. Jungkook, but the space beside you was cold and empty, your brows furrowed in confusion. It wasn't like him to leave your side. In all these months, especially since the third trimester began, he had never once left the bed in the middle of the night. He stayed up even when you were asleep, his hand always resting protectively on your belly, whispering things to the baby. But tonight, he was gone. Your eyes opened slowly, still foggy from sleep, but they cleared the moment you saw the bed empty beside you. Yin, Jungkook, you called softly, barely louder than a breath. You sat up, adjusting the oversized t-shirt draped over your swollen belly. A small chill danced across your arms as you glanced around. That's when you noticed the door to the balcony was slightly open. Your heart relaxed for a moment, a sleepy smile tugging at your lips. Yin, taking in some air hum, you whispered to yourself. You carefully stood up, balancing your weight, one hand resting on the wall. Yin, I'm coming for you, you mumbled playfully with a smirk, thinking you'd sneak up and hug him from behind. You walked slowly, quietly. You reached the balcony door and gently pushed it open, expecting to see him leaning on the railing like always, maybe watching the stars. But what you saw made you froze. Your eyes widened, your lungs stilled. There he was, your strong, protective, brave husband, collapsed on the floor, knees pulled to his chest, face buried in his hand, his entire body shaking as sobs racked through him like waves crashing onto rocks. Yin, Jungkook, your voice was no longer playful, it came out choked. He flinched at the sound of your voice and quickly turned his face away, wiping his tears roughly, ashamed to be seen like this. Jungkook, baby, go back to bed, he said hoarsely, trying to sound normal but failing miserably. I'll come in a minute, I promise. You frowned deeply and stepped forward. Yin, are you serious right now? You asked softly, crouching down slowly beside him. What happened? Did you have a bad dream? You gently cupped his face, forcing him to meet your eyes. He tried to turn away again, but your fingers were warm, dominating him. His eyes were swollen, red, wet, tired, defeated. Yin, talk to me, baby, you whispered, brushing your thumbs over his cheeks. Why are you crying all alone like this? You scare me. He looked at you for a long moment, then finally broke again. Right there in your arms, he reached for you, wrapping his arms carefully around your waist, mindful of your baby bump. He pressed his face into your chest and wept, loud, painful sobs muffled against your skin. You held him close, one hand gently stroking his hair, the other rubbing his back. You gripped a little tighter, comforting him, whispering soft things into his ear like he was the one needing comfort now. For a long time, his face was hidden in your chest, his body curling around you as though he needed to be close to you in the only way that gave him some comfort. Yet, the sobs he couldn't hold back came in waves, each one a powerful reminder of his vulnerability. His voice, when it came, was soft, but it was thick with brokenness. Jungkook, Yin. Your name was barely audible through his sobs, and it twisted your insides. You tilted his face gently upward, your fingers brushing away the dampness from his cheeks. Yin, yes baby, you whispered back. He sniffed, his body still pressed against yours as his hands gripped at the fabric of your dress like it was the only thing holding him together. His next words came slowly, almost like a question he didn't want to ask, but couldn't keep inside any longer. Jungkook, Will it hurt a lot when you give birth? His voice cracked on the last word, and the vulnerability in his tone shattered you. It wasn't just a question. It was a cry for reassurance, a desperate plea that everything would be okay. You knew what he was really asking, even though he couldn't voice it outright. Will you be okay? You exhaled slowly, pressing your palm to his head as you stroked his hair gently. A small smile tugged at your lips, not out of amusement, but out of tenderness. Yin, baby, of course it will hurt, you whispered softly, but you need to understand that without that pain, I can't bring our baby into this world. I can't do it alone. The weight of your words hung in the air between you, and Jungkook shuddered as a sob broke free from him, his face pressed deeper into the warmth of your neck, his tears soaking the fabric of your dress. Jungkook, I'm scared, Yin. His voice cracked again. I'm so scared. I don't want to see you in pain. I can't even help you. All I can do is watch. You could feel the pain in his chest, the helplessness that made him feel smaller. You wanted to take away his fear, but you knew this was something he had to go through too, as much as you did. You wrapped your arms around him, pulling him tighter to you, feeling his heart beat against yours. Yin, Jungkook, I understand. You spoke softly, gently. You have every right to feel like this, but baby, I need you to know I'm strong. We'll get through this. You softened your tone and teasingly brushed his ear, trying to lighten the tension. Jungkook, how are you so calm? His words were filled with confusion, mixed with awe. He searched your eyes, trying to find any hint of fear, any sign of doubt. But there was none. Your gaze was steady, unwavering. How do you not seem scared? You smiled, brushing your hand along his jaw. Yin, I know you're scared, and I understand why. Seeing someone you love in pain is never easy, but I need you by my side, Jungkook, not to take the pain away, but just to hold my hand through it. Your strength will help me find mine, even when it hurts, when it feels like everything is falling apart. I'll know you're right there beside me, and that's all I need. Jungkook nodded slowly, as if each word you spoke cut through the fog in his mind. Jungkook, I know this should be the happiest time of our lives, but I'm terrified, he confessed, his voice cracking. Not of being a dad, but of losing you, of watching you go through something that could break you. What if something goes wrong? What if you're in so much pain and I can't do anything to help? I feel useless, Yin. I hate it. Your heart clenched for him. You had never seen him this broken, this vulnerable. He was the rock in your life, the one who held everything together, and now he felt like he was drowning in his own fear. Yin, I've thought about that too, you whispered, your voice barely above a breath. Yin, every kick, every cramp. I've wondered if I'll be okay, but what scares me more is doing this without you. Even if you can't take away the pain, your presence, it calms me. You're not useless. You're everything to me, Jungkook. His tears soaked into your dress, dampening the fabric as his emotions continued to flood him. He let out another pain sob, his face crumpling in the anguish of his own helplessness. Jungkook, but the thought of you screaming in pain, crying, begging for it to stop, and me just standing there, watching you suffer, I don't think I can take that, Yin. You kissed his forehead gently, brushing your lips against his skin in a soft gesture of love. Yin, you won't just be watching, Jungkook. You'll be giving me strength. When I cry, I'll look for your eyes. When I scream, I'll squeeze your hand. I'll survive because I'll know you're with me. Through it all, you are my strength. He nodded, his tears slowing, his breath beginning to even out as he slowly pulled back from you. His eyes were filled with a mixture of sorrow and love. His forehead gently rested against yours as he closed his eyes for a moment. Jungkook, you are my strong girl. His voice was tender, full of awe and admiration, and I'll be your strength, always. His words were a promise, and it was all you needed to hear. He kissed you then, deep, full of longing. The kiss was everything. It was the release of all his fear, all his frustration, and all the love he had been holding inside. Your lips melded together with such passion that it stole your breath. The kiss lasted for what felt like forever, until you both pulled away, breathless, your hearts racing. Jungkook, I love you so much, sweetheart, Jungkook whispered, his voice hoarse. Yin, I love you too, you whispered back, your voice thick with emotion, your heart full. Jungkook then carefully gathered you into his arms, cradling you close as he gently lifted you back onto the bed. He tucked the covers around you, his movements slow and tender, making sure you were as comfortable as possible. He lay beside you, holding you tightly, his arm draped protectively around your waist, and his face buried in your hair. He didn't want to let go. He didn't want to lose the peace he felt just by being close to you. As you both drifted off to sleep, the world outside seemed to disappear. All that mattered was each other. No matter what came next, you would face it together. The cries of the newborn baby echoed through the room, a sound that cut through the air with the force of new life. The overwhelming rush of emotions hit you in waves: relief, joy, exhaustion, and a deep, unexplainable connection to this tiny being now in your arms. Your body had done it. The pain, the struggle, the endless hours of labor, everything had led to this precious moment. But despite the rush of happiness that enveloped you, your mind kept returning to Jungkook. You had expected him to break down, to cry, to show some sign of the pain he must have felt seeing you in such agony. But he hadn't. He had been so strong, so calm. He had never once faltered. Even as you screamed in pain, pushing your body to the limit, his presence had been unwavering, always beside you, his hand clutching yours with a firm reassurance. He didn't cry, not once. Now, as the room settled, with the baby finally in the crib, you couldn't help but wonder what was going on inside him. You looked at him, but he didn't say anything. He was standing there, his face calm but distant. Your heart clenched as you tried to read his expression, to understand the silence that had fallen over him. As your parents entered the room, there was a flurry of movement, your mom, bustling with energy, ensuring you were taken care of, asking if you needed anything. "Mom, I'll go get some food for you, sweetheart," your mom said with a warm smile, looking at you with eyes full of pride. "You did so well." You nodded, your eyes momentarily locking with your mom's. She could see the weariness in you, and it only made her more determined to make sure you were comfortable. With your parents excusing themselves, leaving the room to bring food, the moment you had been waiting for finally arrived. The dam inside you broke. You looked back at Jungkook. He was still standing by the bed. He wasn't the strong man you had seen throughout the pregnancy. This was a man who had been holding his breath, waiting for something, anything, to break. You needed him close. You needed to hold him. "Yin." Jungkook, your voice was quiet, barely above a whisper, but it pulled his attention instantly. His gaze shifted to you, and in that instant, you saw the rawness in his eyes, the vulnerability he had been hiding, the tears he had been fighting back. You opened your arms, a silent invitation for him to come to you. You needed him now more than ever. "Come here, come here." Your voice broke as you called him to you. Without a second thought, Jungkook walked to you, his arms reaching for you, as if he couldn't get close enough. When he enveloped you in his embrace, you felt everything: his love, his pride, and his pain. He was holding you so gently, as if afraid to hurt you, but his grip tightened as he buried his face in your neck, his words tumbling out like a confession. "Jungkook, you were so strong, Yin. You're a queen, baby. I'm so proud of you." His voice was thick, heavy with emotion. He repeated the words almost desperately, as if trying to make sure you knew just how much he admired you. "I'm so proud of you, so proud." You closed your eyes, feeling the tears that had been building up for hours finally slip down your cheeks. You ran your hands over his back, gently soothing him, as you whispered back, "Yin, no, Jungkook, you were stronger too. You didn't even cry. You held me the entire time. You stayed so calm. You were my strength." Your words were soft, but they carried a weight of truth. You could never have done this without him. Jungkook pulled back slightly, his hands cupping your face, his thumbs brushing away the tears that had begun to fall. "Jungkook, oh, my love." His voice cracked, and he kissed your forehead, his lips lingering for a moment as if trying to soak in the reality of the moment. "You're incredible. Now, rest for a while, until mom is bringing food for you, okay?" You nodded, your exhaustion catching up to you all at once. Your body ached, but the warmth of his touch, the love in his eyes, made everything feel like it was worth it. He gently guided you back down onto the bed, making sure you were comfortable. As he tucked you in, his hand gently stroked your hair. "Jungkook, rest, Yin. You deserve it. I'll be right here when you wake up. Don't worry about anything else. Just sleep. You've done more than enough." You closed your eyes, feeling the weight of the world lift off your shoulders, just by having him near you. In the quiet of the room, with the baby also peacefully sleeping, you allowed yourself to drift off. The love that filled the space between you and Jungkook was enough to quiet the world outside. You knew that no matter what came next, you had each other, and that was all that mattered.